Mishra, wow.
We're only 15 moves in, and the world champion is in
big trouble.
Right.
Look at that for an absolute death stare from the youngest chess grandmaster ever. He'd scare the underpants off a T-Rex. It's no wonder Gukesh D was stunned and basically losing in 13 moves. This is the FIDE Grand Swiss, round 5, and watch this. Abhimanyu Mishra kicking off with e4, the reigning world champion keeping it solid with some king's pawn game, and after we get the Italiano on the board, pawn d3, knight f6, we don't see some of the more solid moves, castles, c3, but this bishop development done with a whoosh, pin and win baby, and so Gukesh starts chasing it away. Now it's a very provocative opening. You're going to see why. Castles, pawn d6, c3 action on the board, looking for expansion later. This is prophylactic. That means to guard against before something happens. And after knight bd2, always get your bits out at the chessboard. Mishra gets the job done. We see the expansion as Gary the debt collector comes charging down the board, banging down the door, and this bishop's looking a little bit in jail, right? This is the risk of such an opening. Now some of the main moves here I'm highlighting, completely forgot to mention this one, but we don't see any of them from Gukesh. He plays the unusual knight h7. Now at first I wondered, okay, is it manoeuvring round? You sometimes see a bit of that, headed for f4, but actually it's more about supporting this pawn, preparing to expand, aggressive. So this is a natural counter strike in the center. That was a great game back in the day, wasn't it? h5 now played, and the tried and tested is pawn h4. Because you give the bishop room, g4 comes, anyone for a knight maneuver, as they say, if you want a nerdy chess notation joke. But we didn't see h4. Mishra catches a world champ off guard here. He plays takes on e5. Now it's not a bad move by any stretch, makes the game about level, but given the question mark, because it wasn't the top move of the all-powerful stock barnacle. Now it looks like you can play h4 and trap a bishop, and indeed this was the best line not played. We're in analysis mode. This is how the game would proceed. The queen comes streaming out here, threatening a checkmate on f7, so you have to block with the queen. This is how the game could proceed. That's a weird looking square, but it holds stuff together, and this is a roughly level position. Who knows what's going on? White's got a bunch of pawns, black's got an extra piece. But that didn't play out. Gukesh goes terribly wrong. Plays pawn g4.
Mushrooms.
Now it is a blunder, but how do you prove it? What is the correct move for white here to get a big advantage? Well done if you spotted it. It's pawn takes on d6. So you sacrifice an entire pony just to then pick up another pawn, hit the queen. This is an absolute monster. And after knight takes on f3, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns for the piece. Very worthwhile sacrifice here. Not even a sacrifice. White's even ahead on material, and with this incredible attack to boot. We get bishop d6. The queen saves herself. Now we get takes on e6. Queen takes back, and pawn e5 cementos everything in the center of the board. But Gukesh, this is what he does so well. Mr. Resourceful. He plays king d7 here, stepping into the firing line of the queen, but there isn't actually a good discovery, and here Mishra goes a bit wrong. He should sidestep with the king, preparing to meet this g-file attack, or start pushing p over here, looking to go a4, b4, b5, just dislodge this knight. It's a very powerful slow motion threat, but he plays the horrible knight d4. Positionally terrible, because you can do this, this, and queen d5, blockading the pawns, attacking this weak backwards one, and it just gets trickier from here, because after queen takes on h5, we now see a move that Mishra missed from afar, so I understand from listening to the interview afterwards. Knight f6, opening the attack of the rook, and therefore you can't gobble here. Now after check, queen blocking, looks like you should be able to take that knight, but then the bishop drops. This is what Gukesh has seen so well. So f4 is played here, anticipating this move, not allowing the knight to hop in, plus of course going pure caveman, getting these extra pawns rumbling through the centre. We don't see rook ad1 to defend the centre. You know, there's knight e3 ideas in the air. So instead we see this. Takes, rook recaptures, the centre pawn does drop, rook is hit. But what Mishra's foreseen is this incredible activity. The king steps up, rook supported by its brother, but we get this serious counterplay now from Gukesh. g4 launched down to try and defend the king, but more importantly, not let a knight sit on g3 in front of that pawn. Knight b5 therefore played, and after rook h7, perhaps preparing to bring the second rook to the 7th, or check from here, we don't see takes. It was definitely playable. Did a lot of clicking here. Basically, you can give the king a runaround, start checking, remain a bit better. These pawns are incredibly dangerous, but anything could happen, could easily be a draw. Or worse, if you really mess up. These knights are tricky, but we didn't see takes. Gukesh preferred this, but it isn't the best move. But refuting it, not easy. Rook d1, rook c1, apparently best. The very natural double stack on the 7th is achieved, but not approved of, as you can see. Now Gukesh should take. Again, he doesn't do it. Maybe worried about this line. Looks like you're losing a rook. You know, you can't take. Queen is made. This is covered. What to do? Well, this saves everything. Holds it together. There's no good improving move here. You can start checking and stuff. So in the game, this the way to go, but not played. Rook c8. Both players incredibly low on time. Rook d7 in response. This one offers an exchange, and the point is, you take me, I take you. Playable, but not done. We see Mishra keeping the tension. Gukesh now takes here, and after a4, this knight stepping in. Again, you could technically take. Apparently, after the knight's attacked, rook d3 only moved to keep the position level, but again not played. We get this blunderbuss check here, and it allows the king to step over. Knight saves itself. Big threat of knight d3, but bishop d4 takes care of everything. Supports the pawn in the centre. Check was played. King sidestepping. Knight d3 check. King d2. Don't step to e2. There are tricks with this kind of thing. Now black's really fighting back. Even better. So this was the best move. Takes played anyway, and they've reached time control. Mishra pops to the loo, splashes the face with water. I've not just made that up. He did tell us in the after interview. I wasn't kind of stalking him with some camera. Now we see takes. That sounded weird. King takes back, and rook g5 check. And just like that, Mishra liquidating down into this endgame where he is 2 pawns up. He even gives one away now. You could play king c2, but then rook here hitting 2 pawns anyway. So one is going to drop. Mishra decides to do it like this. Activate the king, kind of not actually. I'm talking rubbish. But regardless, he's doing very well here. It's winning, but can he put the cherry on top? He's facing the world champion. Sure, we're not exactly talking Kasparov, Fischer, Magnus levels. Sorry, Gukesh, throwing some shade, but still he's world champion. Incredible player. That brings its own aura. Winning a one game against the world champion, not easy. Can he get the job done? Well, here we go. These are the final moves, because yes, indeed, after king b3, we see resignation from Gukesh. He was lost in 13 moves basically, but it took 61. Not the finest conversion, but job done. These pawns are going through. Sorry, what was the line I was looking at? Say this comes behind. Then the idea is you can bring one of these rooks to the back rank. Just one sample line here. Ultimately, you're going to make a baby girl. We'll pause here. The checkmate's on the way. This is the final position, and if you want to see another remarkable game by Gukesh D, have a look at the video on screen. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.